Today I'm getting a fitting with a local Arizona company. Their motto is for players, by players, which means
we build clubs for, hey, I'm a 6 handicap and I want to get to scratch within the next 2 years. Or maybe you're a 15 handicap and you're like, I want to get down to that level.
Their clubs have made it into the bag of PGA Tour and Champions Tour players.
We're geared towards repeatability, having the ball go the same distance every time that you hit it the way you want to hit it.
If it's good enough for them, then they must be great clubs, but I need to see it for myself. Let's see if the new level irons will stack up to the hype. What's up, everybody? So as you can tell, I'm getting fit for some new level irons. I'm going to take you through the whole process of the fitting, and we got to start with figuring out what I want out of these clubs. So I'm going to talk to DJ, tell him what I'm looking for in these clubs, and then he can match shafts and club heads to resemble what I'm looking for. I'm going to hit it to the clouds, and then because flighting it down is really easy.
Oh, perfect. So then I would absolutely. So we did do a loft overhaul with this new set.
Yeah.
We went 1 strong on everything. So we did 45 on the pitching wedge, 4 drop all the way to the 6, and then we did a 3 drop to the 4, which puts your 4 iron at 23.
Okay.
I play it 1 week. I think they play. In my opinion, they play really well 1 week.
Yeah.
So you would absolutely be on that same, especially if someone wants to hit a little bit higher.
Yeah, because all my clubs are really weak. Like pitching wedge is 48, and I go 4 from there.
Oh, you're like traditional. Which, if that comes down to it, we could absolutely do that for you too as well.
Because it's part of it's so hot here that the ball goes far enough.
Goes super far.
And 2, I just, again, it's easy. It's easy for me to knock it down. It's hard for me to hit it up.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'd rather just take off to the moon and be like, I can knock it down when I need to. Yeah, part of my problem too is like a spin issue. That's why I also have them super weak.
Oh, so
I want more.
You want more spin.
Yeah. Now that we figured out what I'm looking for, DJ wants me to hit some of my own clubs. So I'm gonna hit the 7 iron just to get some baseline numbers so he can compare it off of when he tries the different shafts. So like that was a good one. Tried to cut it and it just doesn't get as much spin as I think I should have.
That one's not bad. You've got 2 things going for you really well. One, 6190 on a mat is going to probably play at about 300 RPMs more outside.
Okay.
That's not a science. That's just something we kind of see in the industry. Your descent angle at 49.5 makes up for all of that. Okay. So you're coming down steep.
Yeah.
For a 7 iron. Which is good because then 60, if you're only getting 6,400 for a 7 iron is good regardless.
Yeah.
But if you're coming down at 49 degrees with a 6,400 RPM backspin, you're going to land nice and soft.
Okay.
So yeah, these numbers are great. You're actually launching it essentially higher than what I would want to see out of a 7 iron, but you've already indicated, hey, I can knock down the ball. I want to hit it high. So this is right in the wheelhouse you're probably looking for because you're apexing right now at 116, which for an iron, technically is high, but once again, where you're playing and the level you're playing at, high is good, especially out here when it's firm as shit.
Yeah.
So you want the ball to come down nice and easy. And I always tell people in Arizona the one thing, like we live in a bubble, so wind's not. This year it seems like we've gotten the opposite end of that, but usually wind's not a factor here. So no, these are great numbers. Yeah. Now I think we can do better. I think we get the spin rate up a little more, and I think we can get you a little more out of it, but.
Yeah, I mean, yardage-wise, I don't need more.
Yeah.
But it's really optimizing that launch spin because I hit a lot more flighted, not full swings, rather than trying to gas anything.
Yep.
Like if I'm at 175 yards and the 8 iron's not going to get there, I'm not going to try and turn over an 8 iron. I'm going to try and
take a little off of the
soft
7.
Yeah. So
100%.
I'd much rather have height, spin, so that it's easier to hit that flighted shot and it still stops.
Yep.
So now DJ wants me to hit the new level 7 iron head with the shaft I was already playing, that KBS Tour, because we want to see if the head makes any adjustments to the launch and spin. We'll say the club that I'm about to hit, the 7 iron head, is 2 degrees stronger, so we can expect the launch to be slightly lower and the spin to be a little bit less.
I want you to start with this though. This is the shaft that we were just saying. I think you can do better, but it's comfortable. And I want you to get a feel for the club because you've got 2 things going against you. One, the grip's completely different. You got a standard grip versus this. And 2, different club, different club, different feel. So Let's warm up with that. Oh, and then your loft. So you're going to definitely hit it further too. We're only at 34.
Okay.
What's yours?
36.
What descent angle are you normally looking for general public that's swinging a 7-iron at 90 to 100?
I got you. So 90 to 100, I'm looking for anything above 45 is good.
Okay.
Anything above 50, we're getting a little. That means you're mooning it. You're putting it up there. So 45 to 50 is kind of like the range. Obviously, we want to stay in the middle of that.
Yeah.
So 47 is.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking chopped cheese here. We're talking al dente, like good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, 47 is great.
So that's just a sweet spot where we're not losing too much distance, but we're also getting the ball to stop on the greens.
Yep. And then and two things can play into that. If the spin rate gets really high, we create the ballooning effect, and then that's going to add the descent angle, and you're going to lose yardage.
Yeah.
And then the opposite end of that is if we spin something or if we don't spin something at all, we get real low spin, you're going to get those like super far flyers where the descent angle gets a little bit steeper, and the ball rolls out forever.
Okay.
So yeah. Where you're at right now, I like it. You're so used to hitting those shafts with a higher loft that your spin rate dropping right now makes complete sense.
Okay.
And I think there's a better shaft option where we can get the spin rate up, but you still feel like you're hitting the same distance and you're not hitting it way further.
Perfect.
KBS Tour is a C-bead shaft, so it's counterbalanced.
Yeah.
So it's one of the shafts that actually put a lot more weight. I don't want to say a lot more weight, but they put more weight in the actual handle area. And so that does two things. One, it takes a little bit of weight from the head, so it actually lowers the swing weight. And then two, your swing's not as head dependent.
Yeah.
So, and like people on tour who play KBS Tour tend to have like a very structured swing. Like you don't see them deviate or hit crazy shots. And a great example is Ludwig. He plays the KBS Tour 130X. Yeah. And he's, if you've ever seen a robotic swing in your life, he's the perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude just steps up, doesn't even think about it, just hits it as Pier's day. So yeah. Whereas we have shafts where you're going to feel it a lot more in the head, which I like personally. Not everyone does, which will give you the ability to like, okay, if you're someone who likes to really shape shots, I feel like when you can feel in the head, you know where the head's at throughout the swing, you can do it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I thought this clip was pretty interesting. It doesn't exactly pertain to the fitting I'm doing right now, but we were talking about the misconception on people that hit it 300 yards because it is way more attainable than you think. Just by certain shafts and optimal numbers, it's not as crazy as you think to hit a ball 300 yards.
And there's a video of a guy hitting a 300-yard bomb.
Yeah.
And he's elevated tee box. He's hitting down into a valley. The swing wasn't a super aggressive swing. Yeah. But he had the tracer on it, and it showed that it carried 300. It was a 304 something is what he said it carried. Which I don't know if he's got TrackMan. I don't know if he's got quad. I don't know what he has to like actually track how far it carried. Yeah. And he could be totally BSing all of us. But the comments are always the same. It's always someone on there like, this went 265 max. There's no way that went 300. And so I was just going to do a PSA of what it takes to hit a ball 300 yards. Yeah. And if you look at the strict numbers, and now this is off of Doppler TrackMan, this is off of Camera Quad, and the numbers can get a little juiced because they take, you know, it's an algorithm. They take specific things and then they build a way to kind of, but they're really good. I've used all these for all my numbers, for all my clubs, and it's always been pretty accurate on the course. You only need, I think it's 108 to 112 club head speed, and you only have to, but the launch angle parameters have to be perfect. Like you have to launch it at 14 to 15 degrees. And to do that with a driver, you're hitting up on the ball probably 3 or 4 degrees, like something crazy. And professionals don't do that. Professional launch angle is around 10 degrees, I think is the average, which for the average golfer, that's low, but when you're hitting at 188 ball speed or 185 ball speed, 10 degrees is perfect. You know, you get that nice little, it's a bell graph, you know, if you look at it, but 300 yards is not as unattainable as what everyone in the comments is making it out to be. Now I get it, there are people online who jack their numbers and lie, and that absolutely happens, but it's just every single video I watch, it's just people in the comments like, there's no way that went that far. And it's like, people can hit the ball far. And it's always the one who's like, if you hit it that far, you're hitting it just as far as the pros. Why aren't you on tour?
Yeah.
And it's this, the way I equate that is like, if I could dunk a basketball, does that mean I should be in the NBA? Like, that's just such a stupid thing to say. Yeah. So, and that's the joke I always tell people is like, if I can dunk a basketball, does that qualify me to be in the NBA? No, absolutely not. If I can hit a ball 300 yards, does that qualify me to be on the PGA Tour? Absolutely not. I mean, there's guys who make a career averaging hitting 280 yards with their driver. And I'm not going to say names because I don't want to be inaccurate. I don't want someone seeing this and going, you said I only hit 280? But there are people who hit it not nearly as far, but it's all about accuracy. And hitting it 300 yards is, don't get me wrong, like it is definitely a feat. It's definitely something to be proud of, especially if you can carry it that far. But there's just launch angle, spin rate, and ball speed all play into it. It's not just ball speed.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear a lot, like, oh, there's no way you hit it 300 yards and you're generating 174 balls. Like, easily. If you can launch it at 12 degrees, 13 degrees at 174, you are hitting it 300 plus in the air.
So now we're getting to the point where we're going to try a bunch of different shafts. This is the point where it's a little bit trial and error. DJ has a good idea of what he wants to put me in, but we need to try 4 or 5 different shafts to make sure we find the exact one, because part of it is feel and what feels best to me.
All right, I'm going to steal that from you.
Perfect.
Because like I said, we've got this one pretty dialed in. We know that this shaft at least works. I want to get that spin rate up though.
That might have been the straightest ball I've hit.
1 yard of draw you had on that is what it says. That was good. So what I want to start you with is something in a similar weight profile. The only difference between this and the KBS Tour is this is going to be a little bit spinnier.
Okay.
And it's still, I want to be careful how I word this because someone, is going to go, oh, KBS website. Money Taper is not nearly as counterbalanced as the Tour. It doesn't feel that way. You can definitely feel the head a little more.
Okay.
This is going to be mid-launch though, mid-spin. This is Money Taper. So this is 130 grams as well. You should feel it more in the head.
Okay.
And then we should also be able to get that spin rate up a little bit.
Perfect.
Which is exactly what we're looking for, and we're not moving weight profiles a crazy amount, so you don't feel like you're swinging something that's completely different.
Yeah.
We will do that because I do want to see there's a couple options that I definitely want to see if work for you or if they don't work for you.
Well, if I miss it, it's really not going to spin.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this has very, very similar numbers to the Tour.
Yeah.
It does play very similar to the Tour. I would say that, like I said, you can just feel it a little more in the head with the KBS Money. It's kind of crazy how ridiculously similar this club is to the
Well, I mean, I've done fittings before, and I've always struggled with finding a shaft that helps me generate spin because I'm not super steep into the ball. Generally, I swing out like minutely to the right, so it's just everything to make it spin less.
Yep, 100%. And you know that, which is good.
Yeah.
You're coming in with some prior, What I love to see though is you also need to see it this way. You're hitting that with 2 degrees more loft.
Yes.
Or less loft, which means if I jack that up 2 more degrees, your 56 is definitely going to jump up.
Yeah.
And your descent angle. But the only reason why I don't hate this is that you're generating all the same numbers you were generating with your club with 2 degrees of less loft.
Yeah.
So it's like you can still hit it high. You're still kind of swinging the same swing. You're getting the same numbers. But essentially you're doing it with a club that we can manipulate to match that. That'll get you the numbers that you kind of want. So it makes me happy. Yeah, this is good.
So you're saying if we did add 2 degrees of loft,
spin rate will go up 100%.
Perfect.
100%. This is a new shaft that we just put in this. This is the Modus 120X. This is going to be the most head feel out of all the shafts we tried. So you're going to feel it the most in the head out of all of them. And this is a mid-launch, mid-spin shaft. So we should see spin go up, but we might also see flight go up as well.
Okay.
Which I know you don't hate that because you said you can knock it down regardless. So
yeah,
this might be the money maker. So we'll see.
Perfect. So one thing I was curious about with New Level is what their business model is. There's a lot of companies that look for different target demographics, and judging by the club head, I figured it was going to be for more consistent players, maybe a little more high-level players, a little better ball strikers, but I wanted to really confirm it and ask them to see what they really, what their target is. You talked about New Level as a company. You guys are making essentially like high-quality clubs for better ball strikers, better players. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the motto what you guys are going for, or?
Yeah, so one of our mottos is like four players by players, four players, or I'm sorry, 4 players by players. Got that right. And that motto essentially means like the people we kind of make the clubs for are people who are playing golf. Not playing golf like, hey, let me go get drunk on a weekend and go, weekend warrior it. No, we build clubs for, hey, I'm a 6 handicap and I want to get to scratch within the next 2 years.
Okay.
Whatever the case might be, whatever the story is, or maybe you're a 15 handicap and you're like, I want to get down to that level. I'm a big believer of putting someone in, if you're serious enough, I'm a big believer of putting someone in something that maybe they're not ready for right in that moment. But if they're working towards the goal of hitting the ball better, I have no problem putting someone in like a CB who's a 15 handicap if they come in and the attitude's right.
Yeah.
That to me is super important. Like if you come in and I can tell like, okay, I take golf serious, like I want to be better at the sport, then it's like, okay, I don't mind you not being the best ball striker and playing a set of our clubs.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, you're not good enough, like get out of here. I'll never do that, but there are conversations I've had with people where maybe they just don't know the business model, they've never heard of us before, so they come in thinking that we're just some cheap golf club brand that's gonna, just be good enough for whatever price point that they're looking for, and I've had to be like, maybe we're not it, bro. Maybe you gotta go somewhere else to find clubs that just fit kind of what you're looking for. And but yeah, I would say that's kind of New Level's business model. Like we're very focused on good. It's one piece forged.
Yeah.
They're not easy to hit.
Yeah, I mean, I figured, judging by the shape and design, I figured it was more tailored towards that low teens, single digit scratch golfers, because it's very, by the looks of it, by the feels of it, it's a workable iron. It's not the super game improvement where it just is built for hit it higher, make the sweet spot massive, but also you limit how much you can curve it.
Yep. No. And usually when you're limiting curvature, you're limiting spin rate.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you can get a straighter flight. So it's like, no, we're not built for that at all. We want you to hit a green and stick a green. And then the consistency that we have is probably the thing that I would stand behind the most is, if you're hitting the club in the same way over and over, like the yardage disparity you're going to get between your best hit ball and your worst hit ball is not going to be giant, which is nice.
Yeah.
Obviously, when I say worst hit ball, if you shank one or you hit one horribly, then obviously it's not going to perform properly. But you play other brands, you see jumpers a lot, where you've got a club that you hit flush and you're like, boom, that's right on the number that I need, and then you fly the green.
Yeah,
and you're just like,
and it just takes off.
And you're like, what the hell? I don't think I could have hit it any better to create a more accurate shot. Whereas with these, with one piece forge and just the styling of the clubs, accuracy is what we push heavily. So you were speaking directly on handicap, and we try to be very careful around here about using handicap as a attribute to judge whether or not someone should play our clubs. And the sole reason for that is handicap can be high because of other things other than the irons. You could be the flushest iron striker of all time, and if you can't hit a driver or get off the tee to save your life, maybe you're gaining 10 strokes there. Yeah. Maybe you're gaining 10 strokes around the green where you can't chip, or you have a hard time with pitch shots, or you're not a good putter. Yeah. So whereas you said something about, where we target 15 or teens and lower handicaps, you're absolutely right. Like I would 100% go on record saying, like, on a general aspect, yeah. But we just target people who are just really good ball strikers with their irons. Yeah. Because, like I said, there's just a lot of options out there that'll help someone who doesn't find the center of the face a lot in other companies. Yeah. Whereas that's not what we're geared towards. We're geared towards repeatability, having the ball go the same distance every time that you hit it the way you want to hit it, workability, being able to move the ball in any direction that you want for the most part, and then lastly, feel, because they're one piece forged. they feel like butter, you know. I don't know if you've noticed, but
Yeah.
they feel really good off the face. We do 1020 carbon steel, so very soft steel.
Yeah, they definitely feel pretty soft.
Yeah, very soft. I think if there's a comparison, Mira does 1025. So
Okay.
we do like one step even softer than they do. Yeah.
That one was a little thin. Okay, that one actually hit good.
There we go, 5,800, moving up, and a 49-degree descent angle. Do you feel like you lose the ball off the green a lot?
Only it's the long irons that I struggle with.
Okay.
Because I can hit a 7-iron pretty high. I feel like I can hit a 6-iron pretty high. But when I get to like the 5-4 and the lie's not perfect, and I have to really work down into the ball more, then that's where I'd want to have the extra spin. Because I'm going to lose some of that having to dig it out of a bad lie. So that's where I get the issue.
I got you.
So
You feel like you're hitting a 5-iron into a green, you hit it really well, and then it hits the green, just skips off the back or whatever.
Partially, yeah.
Okay.
I try to hit a lot of, like, my path's pretty consistent, so I end up hitting push fades.
I gotcha.
But I try to hit a lot of those because they come down a little steeper, a little softer.
Yep. A little more spinny.
Yeah.
I will say with our line, the gentleman who designed them, getting CG dead center, he did a progressive face CG, meaning pitching wedge has a little bit higher CG to keep the flight dampered.
Okay.
And then as you get to the long irons, it's really low, so it gets the flight higher. So perfectly what you're kind of looking for. So
That's interesting. I've never heard that with a iron head. I've heard it with shafts where the
kick point.
Kick point, the lower wedges, 9-iron will launch lower and then reverse, but I've never heard it with the irons.
Yeah, so essentially, so CG's dead center. He has this nice little black torpedo thing that he kind of sticks the head on with nothing on it, and it can tell you exactly where the center of gravity on the club is.
Yeah.
And he made sure, like, when the clubs came in, that all of them were where he wanted it, which was dead center. And then the pitching wedge, that CG just moves a little bit. Now I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it moves up the face. We're talking small increments. And then what that allows is for the wedges to be a dampered flight, because most people want to see their wedges come out lower, not so high. And as you move towards the long irons, the CG will actually move a little bit closer to the bottom of the club.
Okay.
And that allows for the higher flight. That allows for you to get the 4-iron up in the air quicker, the 5-iron up in the air quicker, 6-iron up in the air quicker. And then I think 7 is pretty dead center.
Yeah.
And like I said, it moves up as it goes.
Awesome.
But for someone who's looking for getting the ball up in the air quicker, this is perfect. Yeah. This is what we want to, this is exactly what you're looking for. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is something that I thought was really cool. If you didn't 100% get what he was saying there, they built the clubs to manage the flight. So generally, the better players with more club head speed, the wedges go pretty high, and then it's a little bit harder to get the 4-iron and 5-iron as high as those wedges. So there's shafts you can buy that are lower launching with the short irons and wedges, and they're higher launching with the long irons. Now they did something similar with the irons where they moved the weight. So for the short irons and wedges, the weight's higher, which is going to help it launch lower, and then vice versa, they move the weight down. So the 4-iron and 5-iron helps you launch a little bit higher. I thought that was a cool thing and something I honestly haven't heard of in iron heads.
Now, as far as you're so consistent, so we can actually play this game, which not a lot of people we can play this game with. Which shaft feels the best so far?
Honestly, this one.
Really, you like feeling it in the head more?
Yeah. Well, that's why the head weights are so high on those things.
It makes sense. Yeah. Because you put the Jumbo Maxes on there, and then they were able to still get your swing weight pretty high.
Well, the swing weight, I put lead tape on it to make it higher, and then I switched the grip, and it made it even higher. And I was like, this feels good.
It's fun. No, it's funny to hear that, because you putting lead tape, you switching the grips to a lighter grip, while using the KBS Tour, it just shows me like, oh, he wants to feel the head, but he's playing a shaft where you can't really feel the head. Yeah. So that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this one as well then, and I'm excited for this one. This one might be a dark horse. So this is a weird one. That was awesome. 5,900 with a draw. So once again, like I said, add about 300 onto that outside.
Yeah.
So you're in the mid 6,000s, which is exactly where we want to be with a 7-iron. On top of that, you're at 48 degrees of descent.
Yeah.
A wet day that might come backwards.
Yeah, that one felt good. And those are, I mean, pretty much the numbers I would look for.
Yes, yeah, 18.9 is phenomenal. Like I said, that's what's going to play into your descent angle. Your peak height was 108 feet. Fine with that, 100%. Like you said, you have no problem flighting a ball if you need to. You hit 1 yard of curve, so outside that's going to look dead straight. You're not going to notice that. And then you were offline by 3 yards, but that's just because you started a little left of center.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
So I ended up hitting a few more shafts than I showed. Didn't want to show all of them because it's just me making the same swings and talking about how they feel. The other ones didn't feel as good. So the top 2 right now is a Modus shaft and a Project X. These are the best ones. So now DJ's going in the back. He's going to adjust the head of the 7-iron so we can match my loft and lie angle. And then we can really dial in the shots and figure out which one's the exact shaft for me.
We now have the Darren setup. We are 2 weak in comparison to our normal loft. So you're at 36 degrees, which will be compatible with what you're used to in your clubs. And then we're gonna try these 2 shafts. We'll make sure the spin rate's at a good place. We'll make sure our descent angle's at a good place, our peak height's at a good place, launch angle's at a good place. Now the Modus 120X, this was the one you originally hit and liked. This was the one that kind of did everything you wanted it to do originally. And we're putting this one up against the Project X. So whenever you're ready, grip it and rip it.
That one's nice.
Little baby draw, and you're still getting 6,000 out of it. That's awesome. And the numbers are so identical. It's actually kind of, it doesn't even feel like I gave you a new shaft.
I'm gonna hit some like low ones.
Yeah.
The lower cut ones.
I mean, you literally knocked 20 feet off that shot and got the exact same carry.
Yeah.
For almost the identical spin rate. Your descent went from 49 to 45, which is what you were looking to do because you wanted to hit it lower. Yeah, it's incredible. Tad heavy?
Just a little.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Was that the low one again?
Yeah.
45 descent once again. Your distance was a little less, but you probably made up for it with a little lower spin.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think you caught a little heavy.
Yeah.
Ooh. High one?
That was me trying to hit it higher.
That's so good. 178 carry. You literally haven't moved your carry more than 5 yards. It's incredible. Ooh, low draw.
Yeah.
That was sick. 43.5 descent. You're at 90 feet peak height.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
I mean, this feels, I didn't really work that one, but it feels super workable, which is good.
You know what that told me though?
What?
As soon as I put that in your hand, you wanted to work that one.
Yeah.
So that tells me you like that one a little more. And that's okay.
This one's,
You pretty much answered a question without answering the question.
Yeah.
So no. I think the Modus is, I like your enthusiasm to shot shape it, which tells me, okay, he really likes this shaft.
Yeah.
Like this shaft feels good. And like I said, you can hit. So far you've hit everything you wanted to hit. So yeah, no,
I feel like this would be the one.
Yeah, signed, sealed, and delivered, brother.
Yeah.
I think Modus 120X is perfect for you. And it makes sense. Like if we looked at the profile of the shaft and what you brought to the table when you got here, hey DJ, I want to hit a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Because I can hit a lower shot whenever I need to. I want to spin it a little more. And you didn't say this, but from everything that we talked about, I was able to kind of come up with this on my own. Hey, I want to feel the head because I want to know where the head is through transition. You've got the perfect recipe in that shaft for all 3 of those things. So yeah, I think Modus 120X is without a doubt the best shaft out of all the options here.
So now that we found the right shaft, definitely that Modus, that thing feels amazing for me. I wanted to challenge DJ to see if he can find the worst shaft for me, because I really wanted to showcase how important it is to get fit, how much the shafts can adjust your playability, and honestly, your just consistency. Can you find me a shaft that is like terrible?
Yeah. I think this is going to be the best option for picking a shaft that would not fit your swing. And the Tour Light 105 is the one I picked. Super light. We're probably going to see your ball flight get super high. Because whenever we get a light shaft that we can flex a little more and get kind of under it quicker, we just tend to see it kind of go to balloon up when you don't need it. We'll probably see the spin rate go up, which even though you want to see that, we might see crazy numbers. And then dispersion should go up as well. So it's going to be harder to see that ball stay on line and land on line.
Okay.
And then any kind of shot shape that you're putting on it, you'll probably see an over-exaggeration of it.
Okay.
So if you want to hit a cut, it's probably going to cut a little too much. If you want to hit a draw, you might see it draw a little too much.
Okay.
So.
Whoa.
Look at that spin rate.
7,000, that's perfect.
And then look at the curve.
Way right.
13 yards of cut, which equates to, if I'm doing my math right, 39 feet of dispersion, which if you're playing at a place with a pretty small green, playing at a place with a pretty small green, and you started it right, unfortunately, because of the shaft. And so you're offline by 22 yards, which is 66 feet.
Yeah,
and so just giant miss.
Same head, same loft, same size grip, different shaft, and it's 10 yards shorter, curved 13 more yards, way higher, spun way more.
And to go back to what we were speaking on earlier, people who get really hyper-focused on numbers, this would be a great example of why this could be detrimental for a fitting. Because you told me, hey, I want my spin rate higher. Now, obviously, this is an extreme example at 7,000, but say I gave you this shaft to start out. I didn't really know you really well, and as far as your swing, and the first couple of swings, you're good enough to time it up and get it to go straight, and then we see the spin rate at 6,600, 6,500, and in your head, you're like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So then we play this game where we're bouncing off each other like, this is the right shaft. And then little do we know, moving forward, this is the shaft I fit you in. I build a whole set of these, and then you start seeing this on the course. So no, it's working with your customer and being with them, like, or your client, however you want to word it, and like really understanding how they're delivering the club, and then making sure you're picking a shaft that's not only keeping up with them, but keeping them on the planet. Is really, really helpful. Yeah,
because the too light really killed the dispersion. And as much as I would love to see 7,000 RPMs, I'd also love to find the green. More often.
Or find the ball. Find the ball, because you might be over in the woods. Exact same concept we were talking about earlier, picking the right shaft. Now we're on the opposite side of that spectrum. I've given you something very, very stout, very low launch, very low spin. And those were things we were not talking about. Those are things that you didn't want. And so I would stay away from something like this, because this is going to ultimately lower flight, it's going to lower spin rate, it's going to lower descent angle, it's going to lower launch angle. And for the right player, that's great. But for someone like you who's wants to hit it higher, hit a green soft, it's going to do the exact opposite. Perfect.
So
perfect example of what we're talking about. So descent angle 42.5. You were at 48 with the shaft that was optimized. Spin rate dropped. Now we did hit a big draw, but that kind of goes to the dispersion factor that we talked about, which obviously will lower spin, but 5,300 is no bueno. 14.7 launch, and then our peak height was 86 feet versus your 100, 110 with the shafts that were actually working well for you.
So again, stouter shaft, heavier. Now it launched too low, not enough spin. And again, timing is a problem, so dispersion's worse.
Exactly. I wouldn't say dispersion is bad because of the flexion of the shaft. Obviously, it's super stout. If anything, this would actually bring it in, but the tempoing is going to be completely off.
The feel thing is.
You're going to 100. It's a very heavy shaft. Like you getting it here, you're so used to swinging something that's a little lighter. Now you feel like you're really muscling this club through, and to do that through a whole round of 18, you're going to be dead by the end of the round. So
All right, we're gonna make one swing of the swing that I think I'd have to make with this. I'd love to have to do that all day long.
9-yard draw is crazy too. So it's stout. This is the weird thing that we see in the golf industry, and anyone else who fits sees this as well. When we get a shaft that's so stout, but you're able to deliver it properly, the shaft has no flexion in it. It kind of keeps up with your swing if you're someone who's a little more tempoed. And so what we see is the club's being delivered with more dynamic loft, and then we hit it even higher, even though it's a low launch shaft. Because now we've got this big stout club launching the ball straight up into the air, and you hit that one at 134 feet. So, it's just crazy. High. On a windy day, you'd be screwed.
Yes. Now, as you can see, there was definitely a change in the numbers, in the dispersion. The dispersion was the big thing for me. Just the shaft alone caused me to hit it farther offline, which is not ideal. But I will preface that at my level, I'm a +4. I'm a pro. I'm going to be able to get a lot of these different shafts to work somewhat well because I can time it up pretty well. For the higher handicap golfer, these dispersions, these spin rates, these launch numbers are going to be drastically different based on what's the exact shaft for you. So what I mean by this is it's way more important for the higher handicap golfer to get fit because you're going to see way more benefit out of getting the right shaft for you and the right club head for you. So that is all for the fitting. Thank you to DJ and New Level for setting up the fitting. Let me try the clubs out, do a little bit of a review. I gotta say, these things feel great. And I'm saying that because I actually like them. They didn't pay me, they didn't give me any clubs, nothing. I am free will to talk here. So I will say, I do like the clubs. They did a great job fitting me. During fittings, I try to hide that I am a PGA teaching pro. I've gone through all this. I've done all the bookwork. So I know what you should and shouldn't look for. DJ was spot on with everything. He knew everything about the clubs, what was beneficial, what would help me get the launch and spin up, what numbers we're looking for. So shout out to him. Guy knows what he's talking about. Whoever designed those clubs at New Level, they knew what they were talking about. It was super cool to see. They changed the weighting so that you can launch it higher with the 4 and 5 iron compared to the wedge and 9 iron, and they just did that by adjusting the weight. Thought that was super cool. So thank you again to New Level for the fitting. Appreciate everything. If you want to check them out, I got a link down below. You can check out their irons. Honestly, I haven't even looked at the price, so I couldn't tell you how much that is, but I would definitely check them out. Feel-wise, they're great. If you're someone who's looking to become a really good ball striker, and they're working towards becoming a better golfer, and like they said, not kind of the weekend warrior that's just looking for a random set of clubs that is a good price point, and it's a little bit game improvement, because that's not really what they're going for, definitely check them out. I think they're great. I think they're a great option. So with all that said, thank you for watching the whole video. Appreciate everyone who stayed, and I'll see you in the next one.